Dear learners, I am Dr. Imtazul Huda, Assistant Professor, Department of Islamic Studies. In this section, we will learn about the Mujahideen movement. First of all, from where this word has been derived. It means the people who are eager for, for jihad. So they are called as Mujahideen. So in the early 19th century, a movement had started in India, and that came to be known as the Mujahideen movement. As the historical narrative maintains, the teachings of Shah Waliullah and his concept of reform and emancipation of Muslim culture had a significant impact on Sayyid Ahmad, who later attained martyrdom. So he is also called as Shaheed, Sayyid Ahmad Shaheed. The ideas of Shah Waliullah's regarding the concept of Islamic State and the spirit of jihad had influenced Sayyid Ahmad, and he has carried on the concept of Islamic revivalism, understanding the teachings of Shah Waliullah. He was also the disciple of Shah Abdul Aziz Dehlavi, who was the son of Shah Waliullah. And the way Shah Abdul Aziz Dehlavi has sensed or has explained the need of the reform in the Indian Muslim society, Sayyid Ahmad had perceived it very much, and that's why he has carried on the concept of the Islamic revivalism. Dear learners, for his movement, the jihad movement, he was initially, as he was very much keen and interested, initially he got recruited into the army of Nawab Amir Khan, who was the governor of Tonk, at the age of 17. Sayyid Ahmad he was recruited in the army of Nawab Amir Khan, who was the governor of Tonk. At the age of 17, he became the part of the Tonk army. There at the Tonk army, he had acquired the skill, the military skill, the military strategy, the tactics, and the discipline when he was in service in the army. And later onward, when he had started his movement, he recruited many Muslims into his army to wage war against the infidels, against the Britishers. The experiences he had acquired while in the army of Tonk, it has helped him to excel in the field. And just because of his keen interest, very soon he was raised up to the position of military commander. Dear learners, Sayyid Ahmad was the firm believer of countering non-Muslim forces' global ascendancy. Dear learners, after the Tonk army was defeated by the British, Nawab Amir Khan abandoned the city of Tonk and as well as army, and refrained himself for fighting for the independence of the Tonk. Here, Sayyid Ahmad had a grave desire for Islam. He was very much concerned about the Islam, that it should rule the world once again. He had a spirit like that one, that the Islamic law or Islamic rules should be established. So he concluded that the lack of commitment to the jihad and sacrifice of Islam was the main factor, contributing to the domination of the European power in India. Dear learners, Sayyid Ahmad believed that neither the Mughal emperor of Delhi nor the Muslim governors of the Indian provinces were capable of willing to engage in a war in order to build an Islamic empire. So he was very much convinced that he would have to take a charge and to make a decision in these circumstances. Therefore, very soon he had started a massive outreach campaign and to lit the spirit of jihad among the Muslims. He traveled to cities and village to villages and all throughout the India, and he would go to Afghanistan also. He tried to inspire the people from all the background that they should join to liberate their nation from the Britishers. Dear learners, he has also written a letter to the Sardozai king of Afghanistan, Shah Mahmud. And in his letter, he has tried to outline his opinion. He wrote that the Allah Almighty is the chief commandment, and we have to conduct a jihad, and we have to put down the rebellion of all time in all the places, particularly when non-believers criminal behavior had reached to the point where all Islamic rituals had become outmoded. Political unrest has been caused in Islamic State. Thus, it's a need to sow the seed of dissension among the Muslims that they should be ready to fight against the Britishers. Dear learners, in 1821, he, along with many members or his companions, went for Hajj. And after performing Hajj, he took a pledge that he would conduct jihad, and even his followers or his members also promised him that they will play an instrumental role in his program of jihad against the Britishers. 3 years later, he returned back from Hajj, and then he started to reform the Muslim culture. He visited to the people, home to home, and had tried to convince them that it's a need that we should reform ourselves and we should also be ready to migrate for jihad, because he has waged jihad into the region of Indus tribal area. Dear learners, let's have a glance over the impact of the Mujahideen movement. Mujahideen movement was for the purpose to restore the grandeur of Islam in the Indian subcontinent. The Mujahideen movement had put down at the Balakot in 1831. There was a battle in 1831. Sayyid Ahmad and his companion had been killed in their effort to establish divine will. They gave everything in order to rescue the Muslim. Although the movement's immediate purpose was to end the Sikh control over the region, but that was not achieved. It has greatly influenced the Muslims and forced them to reconsider their own identities, independence, and the revival of Islam. Dear learners, the Mujahideen movement significantly improved and transformed the Muslim society of Indian subcontinent. It was the effort of the movement of the Sayyid Ahmad who had made a much contribution in the field of academic and personal activity also. He wrote many pamphlets, he had delivered many speeches, and had drawn the people that they should understand it is a need of a time that they should perfect themselves. Dear learners, the movements were intended for ethical purity, Muslim culture from bad habit, to purify the Muslim culture from bad habit, from pantheism, from heresies, and while it was also to defend the Muslims against the Sikh as well as the British control. Dear learners, let's have a glance over what were the achievements of the Mujahideen movement. The first one, they had revitalized the concept of jihad. It was the greatest achievement that they had restored the jihad, a core Islamic tenet that has been forgotten as being unachievable and no longer binding on Muslims. He considered that jihad is of many types and we should always be ready to face jihad at any condition. First of all, if our people are facing difficulty and trouble, are getting oppressed, that it is necessary to conduct a jihad. During the time of the Mughal, the jihad was not considered. And it has been forgotten that is a part and parcel of the Islamic tenet, the fundamental, the principles of Islam. So he emphasized that it's a need of the time that it should be implemented. So the achievement that he revitalized the concept of jihad in the Indian Muslim society. Dear learned, it was only permissible to refer to the Quran, Hadith, and the life stories of the early Muslims who struggled for the glory of their religion. So the jihad movement restructured a long forgotten Muslim responsibility. It has an impact on the aptitude and inclinations of Indian Muslims as well as their thought and literary creation. Another important achievement is revival of Imamat, the concept of the Muslim leader, the caliphate. The restoration of Imamat was a crucial aspect of the Islamic governance that has been brought by the Mujahideen movement, which has been got abandoned since long, and it was considered nothing. It was of no use, but he made it a noteworthy achievement because, after all, the Muslims had to abide by the system of caliphate. At that time, when the Muslim in most part of the world had abandoned the Prophet's Sunnah, he had made it mandatory requirement for every Muslim. He had also, the achievement is about the renewal of Hajj practices. During due course time of the Mughal period, the Muslims were least interested in performing the Hajj. So it is the credit which goes to him that he has talked about the resurgence of the fast disappearing Hajj tradition. It was just because of the anarchy and the risks of the sea travel that many many Muslim academics, the scholars, has produced the many multitude of ethical and logical ground that why they can't perform a trip for the Hajj. But he made it is a necessary that the five pillars of Islam should be perfectly observed by each and every individual Muslims. Dear learners, it achieved the it talk about improving the problems of the marriages. During that time, the Muslim society, especially the male people, were considering the late marriages. So he had tried to convince the Muslim a cultural change. He tried to bring cultural change that it should be re-established, because the ritual of early marriage is necessary, is important aspect, and because it has been restricted in the Sunnah and the Sharia that every Muslim should have early marriage, and they should consider that it will transform the ummah. It will add up a member to the ummah and stability to the ummah. Late marriages will result into the weakening of the ummah also. Thank you very much.